Hello, my name is Francesco and I'm an illustrator. Making art is my happy place, and not only do I find it relaxing, but also incredibly fulfilling, and I love challenges. I would like to introduce you to my Etchr class. I hope you'll enjoy it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Etchr mini workshop preview. My name is Kitty, and I will be your host. And Etchr is an online art learning platform, and we work with artists from all over the world. And today we are here with Francesco, who is going to be teaching us how to draw a face. So if you have questions for Francesco, please put them in the chat in all capital letters so that I can see them better. If those questions are relevant to what he's doing at the time, I will ask then. If not, I might hold some of those questions until the end when we do our question and answer session. And also, just so you know, we have a private Facebook group where you can post your work. If you would like some feedback, just make that request so that we know that feedback is welcome, or you can just also share for the sake of sharing. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Francesco, who's going to tell us more about what we're going to do today.
Hello, everyone. My name is Francesco. I'm an illustrator. I'm so sorry for being late. We had a bit of a technical problem here. So today I'm gonna demonstrate how I build a face with what I call a grid that I use for actually figuring out where to place all the facial figures. So it's a proportion grid. I learned the proportion grid by reading the books by an illustrator whose name is Andrew Loomis, and I'll show you some of his work later after I demonstrate the drawing. So stick with me because the video that I prepared can be a bit mechanical and a bit convoluted at times, but I promise you that it's going to be super helpful to learn what I'm showing you today. And it's also very easy once you get to understand how to do, the basic drawing. It's really easy to remember. So we can start the video.
Okay.
So basically, we're looking at learning how to place the average facial figure in a frontal head drawing. And so basically we'll be using a compass, we'll be using a T-square, a square, technical tools that will help us to draw like straight lines and at different angles. And then basically, after I place all the important marks, I will start rendering the drawing. And again, this is a method that was taught by Andrew Loomis, an American illustrator that was active in the 20th century. I believe between 1920 and 1960s. And he has he not only was an illustrator, he was also an author, and he published about 4 or 5 books. The painting that you're seeing here now, it's what we're going to be painting for the next lesson with Etchr. I think it's going to be on May 22nd. And it's basically the drawing that we are doing today, painted in gouache. And at the very beginning of the lesson, I will be explaining the concept of planes, which is really useful in order to understand how to create shadows and while painting that we had. I think this is not the beginning of the video, though. This is the end. Can we go back?
No, this is still the beginning. This is just showing your work.
Oh, okay. Sorry. This is like some examples of my work. Some of you might know it because of my Instagram account. So, and basically, for most of all of these examples that I've showed you just now, I basically use the same concept that I'm using today, the proportion grid, just to place the main features: eyes, the nose, the mouth. So, okay. Okay, the video will begin in a few seconds, and I'm not sure if you guys have all your equipment with you today. If you just want to watch the video and then exercise at home at your own pace, that's also a pretty good idea. Again, it's pretty simple and straightforward. You will need a T-square, a compass, pencils, need a eraser, squares, and a block of paper, of course. And and that's it. Yeah. So basically, the way I begin, I draw a 6-inch circumference. So I open my compass to measure a 3-inch length size, and then I draw the circumference with the compass. Here we go. Next, I draw the horizontal line, which also happens to be the diameter of our circle. I line my T-square with the center of the circle, the little hole on the paper left by the compass, and I draw the horizontal line, which we can also call the brow line. I then find the vertical central line by sitting my square on my T-square. That's the vertical central line. And then I draw the upper line using the top of the circle as my mark. And with the same method that I use to find the central line, I draw 2 lines touching the extreme left and right marks of the circle. I don't know why I was using a colored pencil here, but basically what I'm doing here is boxing my circle so that the upper line measures about 6 inches. That's the 6 inches. So now I split my top line within the box in 3 units. Each units measure 2 inches in length. We basically split the 6-inch circumference in 3 units of 2 inches each. I call each unit by a number just for my to make it easy for myself. 1, 2, and 3. Next, I split each of these 3 units in half, and then I split the resulting units in half again. So again, very mechanical, but also quite simple. That's where these are the marks that I will be using to place the eyes. It looks awful right now, but believe me, it's gonna work. So again, I'm splitting the units in half again. And for my convenience, I call these newfound units by letters. It's going to be A, B, C, D, E, and F. And then the extreme marks on the top line, I call them X and Y, basically. Now remember that this is an example. In this example we're doing today, the unit we use to measure the head is a 2-inch unit. So we're measuring all the main feature placements with the 2-inch unit. Starting from the center of the circle, I measure 2 inches going up to find the hairline, and 2 inches going down to find the nose line, which marks the bottom of the nose. And now going 2 more inches, I add 2 more inches down to find the chin line. And then I draw nose line. Now going back to the top line, I measure the units that equal to A and B and C. And I calculate half of an inch down from the brow line to find the half line of the eyes. Next, I draw 2 parallel lines with my square. from mark 1 and mark 3 to find 2 marks on the chin line that I will connect with X and Y on the top line. This is giving me the approximate position of the jaw on each side of the head. You can see about a vague skull shape now once I'm finished with these lines. Now the bottom of the circle in the drawing splits the area between the nose line and the chin line in half, or in two. And in order to find the mouth line, I need to split the area that goes from the nose line to the bottom of the circle in 3 parts. And the furthest mark from the nose indicates the mouth line. There you go. I then draw parallel lines from A, C, D, and F. Sorry, that's the bottom of the lip line, which I added. So now I'm drawing parallel lines from A, C, D, and F. I draw A and F with a dotted line connecting the brow line with the for C and D. I continue down my dotted line to find the position of the wings of the nose. And then I find the center of the eye by drawing vertical lines from B and E. That's the airline that I draw. And so basically now you have all the marks that you need to build to start building the face, and place the facial features. So you have the airline, you have the brow line, you have the eye line, the center of the eye line. That's the nose line. That's the mouth, the line of the mouth, bottom lip, and the bottom of the chin. So this is really easy, right? I mean, I prepared a few documents that you can look at and you can download. I think it's a couple of PDFs where you have basically the grid that I just prepared with all the names of each line. And here you just start drawing the features. You know, I begin with the nose and I draw the wings of the nose. You know, use a very light line at this point. The thing that I do when I sketch is that basically I try to find my lines as I go. You know, in my mind, I know where I'm going, but on paper, I just draw several lines until I find the right one. And the one that I think works best, it's my final line, basically. There's a bit of a, I know by heart the planes of the face. So, you know, to place the nose, I use the concept of planes. That's what I did just there. Here I place the nasal bone. There you go. And then I start working on the upper part of the mouth. That's the mouth line. Now I and the sides of the mouth basically are aligned with the center of the eye. Just keep that in mind when you're sketching your heads and your faces. There I start placing the eyebrow. And again, it's all very simple shapes at this point. I'm not shading anything. I'm not adding lights or shadows. That's going to come later. I'm not even doing that in this example because this is really just about through there. That's just to make sure symmetrically. So there's my eyebrows, and then I place the lacrimal carnicle. And then, you know, I just start adding little details that will help rendering the face. For the eyes, you can use an almond shape or a football shape. That's what the shape is. And of course, again, these are average features, facial features. Everything will depend on who you're drawing, who you're painting, which kind of um, art piece are you working on. You're working on. If it's like a portrait, of course, you're gonna shape everything after the subject sitting in front of you. If it's an invented figure, you're free to basically work and change the shapes as you want, as you wish. The most important thing to remember is that once you have a knowledge and you know by heart how to place all these features, you have the freedom to tweak things and to change things in a way that you can create invented figures and um, but you still place all the important part of the face in correctly. So basically, here I'm placing the ears. The top of the ear aligns with the brow line, and the bottom of the ear aligns with the nose line. And there's the mouth. So again, I sketched the mouth, and at the very end of the mouth aligns with the center of the pupil, basically. The the edge of the bottom part of the circle is basically the lower lip, the edge of the lower lip, and then I go and I find the chin. That's the mark for the beginning of the chin, which is a round area. That's the bridge of the nose. I place the hairline on the on both sides. That's the chin. I mean, this is an invented figure. I didn't use any reference for this, but you can use a picture of, family member, a friend. You can also just work with a sitting subject. This grid will help you in every situation where you're drawing a face. Here I'm trying to find the cheekbones. And then I need to find the mandible and the jaws. Basically aligns with the mouth line. I'm sorry, bottom the bottom lip basically aligns with the curve of the jaw. There you go. I curve the jaw now. And so the camera is on the side here, so it's a little bit, the drawing seems a little bit slanted, um, but all the measurements are correct. And, I add my hair lines, whatever hairstyle you're after. And then I finish the upper part. So, I mean, all of this will change depending on the subject that you're painting or that you're drawing. The shape of the eyes will be different depending on um, the, you know, based on invented figures or real person that will be sitting for you. But all these placements will be very, very helpful in the future for you to know exactly how to do certain things correctly. Because if you start drawing in the wrong way by placing the features in the wrong place, it's just not gonna work. You can learn how to paint, you can learn how to use certain techniques, painting techniques, but if the basics are incorrect, it's just not gonna look okay at the end of the painting. So, and again, this seems very, very mechanical, but what I think it's important to remember is that you should use this grid for a certain amount of time. We all have a different pace at which we learn things. I would say that if you use this grid for a couple of months, some of you might learn early. The thing is, the more you practice, the more you will learn exactly you need to place all the features. And at some point, you won't need the grid anymore because it's just going to come natural and organically. You will have used the grid so many times that you just know at some point you just know exactly where to place the mouth and where your eyes are supposed to be and how to align your ears and um, and basically what's really left at that point is choosing what to draw and how to create your character. So it might have a bigger nose, it might have a longer chin. It doesn't really matter what the final result is. Every single thing that I still do to these days begins with something like this. um, with all these notions, with all these um, placements. And then once I have the basic of a face, then I can start tweaking it. But only after I have the basic face. I still start every single illustration or painting or portrait with by placing the basic positions of the features. Then I might work on everything else once I have that. I stretch the chin. I make the ears bigger. If I'm drawing an elf, the ears are going to go up and they're going to be pointed, and then the eyes will be in at a different angle. But I know that the eyes have to be exactly where they are now, and then I can just tweak it. I can even raise the eyebrows. It, if you're creating a monster for one of your illustrations, you'll be able to do that by working on these basics. So I think this is a great way to start studying the face. Um, and of course, the next thing you will want to learn is the profile and the three-quarter, which we cannot show here today because we don't have time. But this is all extremely useful. And I wanted to take the opportunity to show you a couple of books that I've been using for myself all these years that you might want to consider buying or maybe finding at the library, local library. And these books are really, really helpful. And if you want to continue studying the basic anatomy, um, now I'm not an expert on anatomy. I've studied it, but I don't know the name of the bones, of all the bones. I definitely don't know the name of all the muscles in the body, and I don't want to know all of that. I think it's super important. Some people actually study anatomy so much that they get to learn all those names. I don't think they're like useful for what I do. But I always have my books that I use as a reference if I want to remind myself the name of a specific muscle or the name of a specific bone. But knowing these things, even superficially, it's going to be really helpful in order to um, create something else, like a fantasy figure or an invented figure. It doesn't really matter as long as you know the basics. So this is one of the documents that you can download with all the information that that I just showed. Um, it's pretty clear. So the height of the head is 3.5 units, and the weight of the head is 3 units. And then I placed all the lines, the hairline, the brow line, the eyes, nose, and lower lip and chin. So you can look at there's another document that I have shared. You can look at those documents, print them out, and keep them as a reference. And then I wanted to show you a book that I think you might want to consider buying.
Francesco?
Yep.
We should probably wait until the end of the video because otherwise they're not going to be able to see you holding up the book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to maybe talk about the mini workshop right now?
Yeah, in the mini workshops, basically what I'm going to do is that I'm going to paint this face that I drew for this live demo today. And as you can see in this picture, there is some more rendering with shadows. And but for doing that, I use the concept of planes, which is another very important concept to learn in order to know exactly how the structure of the face works when interacting with light. And so in that workshop, which is going to be, I think, on May 22nd, I'll be painting this drawing in gouache, and I will be beginning the painting by explaining the concept of planes. Oh, sorry, it's May 21st, not the 22nd. May 21st, not the 22nd. So I'll be beginning with explaining the concept of planes, which you can barely see here, but you can detect some of them, like the cheekbones are, following a certain plane line. With the painting, it's going to be clearer where the planes are, and I'm going to basically share a document which I prepared with a map of all the planes of the face. And again, it's going to be like frontal portrait, and not the profile. The profile has other planes, but this is all. That's all we'll need to do the painting, and then the painting will be executed in gouache. He's a pretty handsome guy. Yeah. I don't know. I call it the standard male head. So.
Great. Yeah. So the mini workshop is a 90-minute class, and as Francesco said, it's step by step. He'll talk you through all of this. May 21st, 2 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And if you can't attend live, the recording will be available later. And it's a really wonderful way to support Francesco and his work as well. So at this point, why don't I bring you back, Francesco, so that you can show those books?
Oh, yeah.
There you are.
Great. So the first book that I'd like to suggest you buy is Drawing the Heads and Hands by Andrew Loomis. So this is the illustrator that I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the free demo. He's an illustrator. He was active between the 1920s and the 1960s. So this book is not so much about anatomy, but in the sense that it won't explain you the names of muscles and bones. That's a different book, which I'll show you after this one. But it's a great book to learn how to work on the placing of the features on the facial features. So really great book. There's a lot of illustrations, but also a lot of explaining. The second book I wanted to show you is an anatomy book, which I think can be also very useful. It's called Classic Human Anatomy. It's by Valerie Winslow. Now, these are books that I found here in the United States. I don't know. I don't have, I can't suggest books that were published in Europe. Some of these titles might have been published in Europe or in other part of the world. So maybe check online and see if you can find them. This is an anatomy book for 3D artists. This is also really useful because it is specifically thought for sculptures and people that are working with 3D animation. So it's all resolving around the idea of lights and shadows. And so it's really helpful in order to understand volume. And again, mostly anatomy. So if you want to start with the head, there's a whole section of the book that goes into the explaining how to draw the head and where to place the facial features. So yeah, these are the 3 books that I wanted to mention to you. And again, I hope to see you in my next class. And I just want to remind you that I have a couple of classes on Etchr. Those are different though. This is more basic, covering the basic of drawing. My other classes on Etchr are painting classes for fantasy illustration. So something different, but kind of, I think they're quite fun to do.
Great.
Yeah.
And so let's see, we have 2 questions. I'll do the easy one first. Who is the author of Classic Human Anatomy?
So Valerie Winslow, Winslow.
Thank you. Great. And the second question, we only have a few moments left, but
Yeah.
can you discuss or talk about the differences for the female face? Or is that a whole nother thing?
Right. So basically, what's going to happen if we might have a third class in June, and that will be focusing on the female features. You can use the same grid that I just showed you for the female. It's the same grid for the female face. The differences are the female features are softer and more curvy. That's all the difference that it's a lot. There are big differences, but the structure is basically the same. The grid won't change between female and male faces. It's more the rendering that will change, and that's the jawlines, the nose, the lips are going to be different. And again, it's all up to you and up to what you're actually drawing and constructing. So you can change that as you go and following your concept. But again, the grid, it's one, and it's going to be useful for both female and male heads.
Great. All right. So everyone, I did put a link to our feedback survey. We would love to hear what you thought of today's class so we can keep bringing you content that you will enjoy. And also, if you followed along or you're going to work with this later, again, we'd love to see what you've done. So I'm going to drop in the tags for both Francesco and for Etchr Studio when you share on Instagram. And if you are joining us a little bit later, I just want to mention that we have a private Facebook group where you can share your work just to share it, or if you'd like some feedback, you can request that. But do say that you would like feedback so that we know that it's welcome. So I'm going to put the link to the group in the chat as well. And yeah, I think that's about it. And Francesco, this was really enjoyable. We've got comments saying, now I know why my eye placement didn't look right, and that this was lovely, great instruction. So yes, great job. Thank you. And yeah,
I'm so sorry, but while I was talking over the video, my internet connection was still giving me trouble. So sometimes it skipped parts. And so I got a bit confused. I'm so sorry about that. But I hope you understood what I was doing. If you have any questions, just get in touch with me. I'll be happy to help.
Great. Oh, and by the way, Francisco is part of our Facebook group, so you can ask him questions there as well. So everybody, thank you so much. We do these free live demos several times a week. So please subscribe to our channel, turn on notifications so that you can be alerted when we go live. And you can also find out what's coming up next by going to our website, scroll down a little bit, and you'll see a section called Upcoming Live. You can also get that information by joining our newsletter, and that information will be all sent directly to you. And again, everyone, thank you so much for spending this time with us. And until we see you next time, make more art. Goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye, everybody. Thank you very much. Happy weekend.